país. RCR presenta Aquí se habla libertad con Pedro Urruchurtu.
Hello friends, and welcome to this conversation I'm having with Jane Fedótova, a very courageous activist from Ukraine. Jane is vice president of the Democratic League of Ukraine, a political party there. And of course, is vice president of the International Federation of Liberal Youth. I had the opportunity to meet her personally a few weeks ago. And of course, we have been involved in many activities, spiritual activities. And I can say that she's not only very brave, but also she's defending the causes of Hong Kong, Taiwan, and in general about freedom. So welcome, Jane. Thank you for sharing these minutes in such complex moments for you and your country. I really appreciate that you are being here with us. Yes, thank you. Thanks for being here.
And thank you so much, Pedro, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to speak up for what's going on in my country. And at least we have this call to contribute to fighting with fake news and disinformation. Because not only like physical weapons are against Ukraine, but also a huge disinformation forces are working against Ukraine.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why I wanted to do this with you. I know you. I know your fight. I know the fight that the Democratic League has been doing for many years about freedom. And of course, creating awareness about this. I have been, in that fight that you are giving. And it's really, really impressive, the work that you're doing. I know that these are not the best moment for you, but I know that you keep fighting, and that's really important. So I think it's important for Latin America to create awareness and to understand from Ukrainian activists like you what's going on, what's the situation. And the first thing to say here is that while this conversation is taking place, a lot of things are ongoing. So this is like a disclaimer because, there are things happening very fast and they can change in minutes, but at least we can have like an overview from this moment about what's going on as we speak. And then of course we can see what's next. But Jane, my first question for you, Ukraine has been invaded by Putin's Russia. And my first question is personal, and it's about you, about your family. How are you? Where are you? Where is your family? I know that you have family inside Ukraine. I know that they are supporting the Ukrainian army. I have been following your social media posts where you try to explain what's going on and share, the stories about your family and other citizens that are supporting the Ukrainian army. So tell us more about this, about you, about your family. How's the situation? What are your thoughts on this?
So, currently I'm in Warsaw, Poland, and I really must admit that Poland is very accepting Ukrainian, not only refugees, but also tourists. For instance, public transport is free when you show Ukrainian passport, and it's really very minor steps, but still it's nice. So my family is in Ukraine, and my mom is in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, and my husband is in Lviv. And honestly, on 23rd of February, just one day before the invasion, both me and my husband, we just entered international airport of Kyiv, and I flew to Istanbul, where I was trainer at the event, and he flew to Lviv, because of course first signs were sent to Ukraine even since 16th of February, because Russian forces started shelling on the eastern part of Ukraine, cities as Stanitsa Luganska, Shastya, and other cities. So but like when you live in the state of war for past 8 years, you just can't predict that it will so quickly escalate and will touch every city. So, honestly, we just agree that, he will spend time till weekends in Western Ukraine. I will be in Istanbul, and, we will meet in Kiev. And also, I called my mom. I said, would you like to spend half of week somewhere in, resort in western parts of Ukraine, surrounded by mountains? And she said, oh, no, I need to work. I have my students. And, yeah, just on the next day, I woke up and I saw a lot of messages from my friends hi, Jane, please don't be nervous if we won't respond to you, but we can be in bomb shelters. And the thing with my mom, that nearby place where she lives, there are 3 shelters, but 2 of them are just too tiny, and they are 15 meters square. Oh. And so they are overcrowded, and she just can't fit in. And the third, quite large bomb shelter is in the hospital. But when she went to that shelter, she was told that, unfortunately, the shelter is only for doctors and for patients, but also the shelter is for patients with COVID. And past 3 days, there was very harsh curfew. And just imagine that you need to spend 36 hours without going outside with people who are infected by COVID-19. So, it's very ill time to have war. I'm sorry, it's maybe kind of protective mechanism, this strange humor, but yeah, just too many factors are against us right now.
Well, impressive things that you are telling us. But thinking about this, Jane, I also want to ask about the role of the international community, because, particularly Europe, because as Venezuelan, I often feel frustrated with the performance of the international community about the dramatic situation we are living in our country. Today, negotiations began in a place that is not neutral at all, that is Belarus, between Ukraine and Russia. Europe and the West, particularly the NATO, seem to have finally reacted, albeit a little late, but finally reacted. How do you think this will progress? What's your opinion? Are these sanctions enough in order to stop Putin? Do you think that they could work? What's your opinion about the role of the international community and why they wait this long time until finally decide to act in Ukraine?
So thank you for this question. Yeah, it's quite interesting. And honestly, I must say that the first day of the war, full-scale war, 6 p.m. and the first shelling started at 4 a.m. So you understand, it's 12 hours and no reactions, no sanctions, no closing of sky, even Nord Stream wasn't closed at that moment. So this first 12 hours, Ukrainians really felt very frustrated. But I also must say that NATO and the European Union is not just one country. So the EU is not only Germany, and NATO is not only US. There are some countries that are very proactive allies of Ukraine, like Lithuania, Estonia, even now Poland and Romania and other countries. But also, on the other hand, there are countries that are very closely tied economically with Russia, like Cyprus, like Hungary, like Germany. Yeah. So to reach this consensus within the international body, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of resources, especially like diplomatic resources from Ukrainian side, to negotiate with every of these like ambassador or president or prime minister. There was like a funny situation with the prime minister of Italy, because prime minister of Italy was very was very annoyed with that fact that Vladimir Zelensky, president of Ukraine, was late for a call with the prime minister. And I honestly liked the reaction of Zelensky. He tweeted that next time I will have call with prime minister of Italy, I will reschedule war in my country. Yeah. So now finally we can see that the airplane connections with Russia were closed. We are following more and more harder sanctions. Finally, Russia was cut off SWIFT system. But again, all these measures are not understandable for ordinary people who are living in Russia right now. And there are lots of videos in TikTok, for instance, where people say, okay, we still will go to Turkey and we will go to Egypt. And so we have our inside banking system, so it will work, so no worries. And that's why I'm a bit afraid that sanctions is not very effective way how to influence Putin. However, even oligarchs from his surrounding started expressing their positions that they are against war because they started losing a lot of money. And especially because of the role of the United Kingdom, because a lot of oligarchs have either their assets in the United Kingdom or they have business entities in a lot of stuff in London are owned by Russian oligarchs. Yes, so maybe it can lead to partition inside of this Putin's surrounding, and they will start pushing him towards ceasing fire. But unfortunately, even now there is no exact place where Putin is located, because some rumors tell that he is somewhere in Ural, in also bomb shelter. But yeah, unfortunately, it's impossible to understand this guy. It seems like he just wants to overcome the fame of Hitler, but it's not a healthy approach how to be onto the pages of history.
Yeah, well, it's interesting what you say about sanctions, because it's same here. I mean, sanctions work, but they don't work by their own. I mean, you need to put these sanctions with other actions besides other actions in order to be effective, because if not, the time pass and at the end these regimes have the the ability to adapt to the circumstances, and that's one of the things that we have been living here with sanctions. I mean, I think sanctions are important because it's a way to show that, okay, to punish this kind of behaviors from these tyrants, but they are not enough by their own. You need to put more actions on the table, and that's I shared your concern about what could be next about sanctions and the international community. But the good news about this is that finally, at least the international community is taking action, and I think that's an important step. And of course, we hope that it could increase in the next days. One of your posts on social media, I don't remember if this was from you or maybe from Ola, could be, but I remember that a post about never again, because never again is you can find a huge number of annual commemorations to remember that communism, fascism, totalitarianism never repeat themselves. And of course, I mean, try to avoid them in history. But it is happening again. It is happening again. That's it. That's a real thing. What message do you send to the world in a moment in where, yes, we have plenty of activities try to avoid these big evils in history, but at the end, it's happening again? What's your message to the free world in order to act and to really avoid this?
Just like, okay, if I need to come with one message, it will be stand up with Ukraine and speak up for Ukraine. Because I don't think that it's necessary like to include in this message like something very harsh against Russia. But because like the main focus is that like Russia will never stop. If the world allows it to expand, like the next can be Finland, the next can be Sweden, because like several days ago, Sergei Lavrov, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, he also like started sending messages to ministers of foreign affairs of Finland and Sweden that if they express their desire to join NATO, they will face consequences. Yeah, so I just urge the world to follow closely what is going on in Ukraine, to help Ukraine, to donate, to spread information, to try to speak to people who who supports this narrative created by Putin and convince them that it is not true. Like, Ukraine is a sovereign country. We are fighting for our land. Because yes, just if this case happens, it can be repeated in other parts of the world. And also, like, if we talk about international community, how else you can help? And especially, like, for instance, if we are talking about Venezuela, that is not in Europe, like, let's say so, like our closest bordering countries. First of all, you can raise awareness, and also you can be more attentive to products that are in your supermarkets. Because if you see that barcodes start with 46, it means that it is Russian product. So please avoid buying these products, because all taxes from these products will go and sponsor Russian military forces, and Russian military forces are killing people. If you don't believe, I can provide you with videos.
This is really, really important, and that was precisely my last question. I have one more, but it was about this. What else can be done? Because I remember, Jane, in 2014, that Venezuela and Ukraine were in the streets in great citizen revolutions. I remember that. It was really amazing. It was I think at the same time, and we were supporting each other, and you can find many pictures and photos of people in the streets in Venezuela with the Ukrainian flag, and in Ukraine with the Venezuelan flag, sending message, from, support, really, really important, I mean, in that moment. So, however, we have been there in your situation. We're still, I mean, and in that moment, you bravely supported us in that moment. So, from a citizen perspective, not about governments, not about NGOs, not about organizations, but about citizens, about people. What else can be done? I think you told a great idea about boycott buying Russian products, but what ways do we have to support? I mean, I know that, for example, people can donate in Bitcoin and other ways that you have been implementing during these days. Of course, the hashtag stand with Ukraine, it's working really well. Of course, many people, sharing videos and photos about what's going on the ground. But what else can be done by citizens like me, like you, activists or not activists, but that, they want just to raise a voice and say, okay, this is a really unfair war, and we need to support Ukraine.
So just before having call with you, I saw that the campaign for extradition of pro-Russian blogger Anatoly Shary has started. And the point is that we are asking for his extradition, but we are writing tweets in Spanish. So Venezuela, as a Spanish-speaking country, can also contribute to it. And also you can tell all Spanish-speaking Latin American world that you can just raise awareness, and the more people start talking about it, the faster this person will come back to Ukraine and face the courts for all crimes that he did. Because yes, he really is supportive towards Putin's view of the world, let's say so, and he also funded some armed gangs in Ukraine. So yeah, he needs to be punished. I don't know how the court will decide, but we need to create this opportunity for him not to enjoy sunny beaches in Catalonia, because currently he is living in Barcelona, but he needs to come back to Ukraine and just be accountable for all his actions. Yeah, so that's it. And also, yes, you can go and organize some protests, but I'm not quite sure how Venezuelan police will react, because on Saturday, I and one more, my friend from Ukraine, we just hold posters with the phrase do you want to help Ukraine? I'm Ukrainian, ask me how. And we printed leaflets just to hand out people who will be interested. And policemen approached us and said you can't do protests in front of the Russian embassy. And the point is that the Russian embassy is located on the crowded place in Istanbul on Istiklal Street. And we say okay, but it's not protest. And he said you have this banner, but it's just provoking interest. It's not protest. Yeah. So after some negotiation, we won some time, and we had 20 leaflets, and almost 20 people approached us. We just handed it, and we were told that we need to go out. Yes, so you can just spread information, because what I think that still we are kind of in bubble of activists, because you and me both are involved with IFRI, and we have the same values. But people who are outside of this bubble, they maybe even haven't heard about such country as Ukraine. So by speaking to these people, by just raising conversation even with your friends, you can create a difference, and you can help Ukraine.
That's really important. And one thing that is important to clarify is that this fight is against Putin and his regime. It's not about Russians, because I know that there are many Russian citizens that they are, they disagree with war. Of course, others probably support him, but I think that this is not. I mean, I have been, during checking in social media and other posts, see many Russians protesting in Russia against war. So I think that is important message to. I don't know what's your vision on this.
So again, it's just very interesting to see that these people pretend that the war doesn't exist for the last 8 years. It didn't start on 24th of February of 2022. It started much, much earlier. So that is also what prevents Ukrainians to fully support Russians and to say oh guys, you're so brave. No, you had 8 years. And like right now, like I also have friends in Russia who go and protest, and even some of them were taken to custody. But the idea that they bring is like no war with Ukraine. They just aren't vocal about they are against Putin's regime, because like, you know, it's not a problem. Again, like I can imagine that not all Russians are against Ukraine, and yes, some of them don't believe what is in this propaganda news, but still, if you don't have this connection between Putin and aggression, not only in Ukraine, in Georgia, in other countries, and if you don't overthrow Putin, it will continue in different forms. Maybe not like next month, but in like upcoming years, it will continue. So like, I really ask Russian people, please go and protest against your authority. Because like even now in Warsaw, I saw some posts from protests where Russian people started burning up their passports. Guys, you need to burn cocktails of Molotov in front of your governmental buildings. Because like right now, honestly, they are very safe in European countries, in European capitals, just to burn their passports on camera. But they need to talk to their friends in Russia. Because honestly, a lot of Russian army are either on the border with Ukraine or in Ukraine. They have chance to change their situation. Use it. Please use it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I have one last question. Maybe it's complex. It's okay if it's just about speculations and your opinion, but I think it's important about what's next. Part of the international action, we know that depends on the internal leadership that manage, difficult situations. It seems to be the case of Zelensky, who has unified the country. At least is what it is like we see from here about how he has unified the country in the cause. I think that he has asked to the world for help and support. Has been in the front line of the battle. Kiev has resisted, and the Ukrainian army is showing great sense of resistance and courage, is what we see from here. Do you think that this has complicated Putin's victory? Do you, as Ukrainian, feel that victory is possible after seeing the courage of so many citizens, not only militaries, civilians, soldiers, like you, even that are not in Ukraine, but just keep fighting in Poland at this moment? Because today it seems that Putin is even more repudiated within Russia, and the world world condemns him. So is this sustainable? How do you see the future in the next days, the next weeks about all this situation? Because I think that you have been a really amazing example of resistance and courage as a society, not only about army or civilians, no, but as a society. So how do you see the immediate future in the next days in Ukraine?
So first of all, I would like to say that yes, the victory is possible, and right now we are winning, because just numbers from Ukrainian side, the death cases are 359 for since Thursday, but from the Russian side, it's 4,600 death cases. So, of course, there are a lot of injured people, and with different levels of injuries. But still, if we compare numbers of deaths, Ukrainians are in much better position. And also, I think that this step with peaceful negotiations is also a sign that Russia can't invest more in this war. They start losing their like hope in seizing Ukraine and just pretend that Ukraine has never existed. Yes, and it's if we are talking about Ukraine and Russia ties, but also Ukraine has started a process of applying for the EU membership status, and even Ursula von der Leyen, she said that yes, Ukraine is a true European country. We want Ukraine to be within the EU. So probably in the nearest weeks, we will see this change in the EU, and there will be not 27 member states, but 28. Yes, I really hope to see it. And also regarding Zelensky and his party, Syrian People's Party, Renew Europe and ALDE Group, they are thinking about also giving them a membership status. So even within internal political stage of Ukraine, there will be changes. Yes, but right now, really a lot of positivity, a lot of optimism, and we are not coming down. No, we continue raising awareness. We continue collecting donations. But yes, because like after the war is over, we will have a long way, and we will spend a lot of hours to rebuild everything that was destroyed. Yeah. Because a lot of military infrastructure sites were destroyed, a lot of housing estates, orphanages, hospitals, schools, kindergartens. Yes, like humanitarian aid will be needed, and even just like hands of workers. So if you would like to spend somewhere in Ukraine and help rebuilding some of our cities, you're very welcome.
Oh, thank you. Well, Jane, I want to thank you for these minutes and this so honest, so honest conversation that we have. Please stay safe. I know that you are going to demonstrations, and you will be joining all the initiatives that could raise the voice and to show what's going on in Ukraine. So please stay safe. We will keep in touch, for sure. I think that we can have another contact in the near future in order to update the situation. From Venezuela, I send all the support in these decisive hours. I know that we will prevail. So thank you very much for these minutes, and yes, stay safe and keep fighting.
Yeah, thank you so much. Glory to Ukraine.
Usted escucha, aquí se habla libertad, con Pedro Urruchurtu. Síganos en Twitter en @RCR750, la radio que se ve.